should just add for people that you're considering a move to Florida, and we'll talk about that in a second. It's something that I think you were considering, like if you got what you wanted out of the election, maybe you would stay in California, and we'll talk about all that in a second. But again, just to reiterate, you used to like Newsom. There may be a lot of people who used to like Newsom and now are like done with him. And I'm curious though, because you're talking about, and I know obviously he's a Democrat, so it is a partisan thing, but I've seen people like Rose McGowan wanting to get rid of Newsom. She's talked about, and I wouldn't consider her, I mean, she's been very clear that I don't think she fits into the two-party system, and she doesn't consider
Right.
herself a
Right.
conservative. So there are definitely people out there that don't want Newsom as governor who are not just Republican conservatives. So I do think CNN and other news media
You,
have tried to
you,
spin it as if it's just a Republican thing to get him out, and they're just using this opportunity. Larry Elder is pretty libertarian, and he's not really a mainline conservative.
right.
So, or
Yeah.
mainline Republican, I should say. So I don't know. I think it's not necessarily as unilateral as people might want to make it out to be, who are pushing back on why Newsom's being attacked. That they're actually, and I'm seeing that more and more, folks who are sick and tired of government overreach, and they feel like that this is an example of that, and are banding together. And I'm kind of curious where that leaves a state like California that has been, I think, probably stereotypically divided into these two parties. I'm curious if like what you're seeing right now ends up becoming a more bipartisan issue. Are you seeing that?
Well, Rose McGowan, I mean, she said it perfectly. I don't agree with everything that Larry Elders may want, although I did, but her, because she has been a Democrat, and but she said he was the right man to lead right now. And why not change? Why not try something different when this has been so horrible? This administration of Governor Newsom's has been so horrible for the state, with the fires, with the homelessness, with the drugs, with the the cities that are becoming the shite holes they are. Even Beverly Hills. Some of the best cities in this beautiful state. I was raised in California, in the Bay Area. I have every reason to be a liberal. So, I told you before that I awakened after 41 years of falling for the Democratic identity politic line, realizing that I've never identified as a victim. My father, mother from Cuba never identified as victims and always taught me it was based on merit, hard work, and being a good. And that's really when, last March, I realized that was all going away really, really fast. I mean, really fast. And that's when I awakened after 41 years. And I've lost family and friends. I've been canceled because of that. First, because I was against the COVID lockdowns, and I survived AIDS in the 80s with Fauci in New York City. I know what he did to us and how many people he killed back then by dragging his feet and botching up the government reaction. So I knew what was going on, and I started doing my research, not watching 30 minutes of NBC News talking points. I still get to this day when I talk to anybody about what's going on. Literally the canned talking points. Now, California is also unique because Hollywood is in California. California has always had a population that wants to be famous, is what my take is on it. And everyone thinks they're going to be a star any minute, and they want to be liked. That is really a prevalent attitude in this country. I mean, in this state and in this city. You got to understand, Hollywood permeates every facet of this city, and state. That's why they have so much control in government. And Netflix gave him $3.5 million to fight the recall. So did a lot of other. It was crazy how many Hollywood companies gave him money to fight the recall. I just found out that the unions had worked with Biden about the mandates. So instead of protecting union members or listening to union members, they talked to the Biden administration to see how they could implement the thing, getting the thing in everyone, and they also, the Teamsters got busted. You did an interview on IATSE, right? Is that how you say it? I heard that for the first time from you. That Linga, you're so cool.
Yeah, IATSE. Yeah, it's
IATSE.
like the people who are
Teamsters.
like, you're on camera, so you're in SAG-AFTRA, and IATSE are typically the
Yeah.
people that are on set doing
So
technical work.
yeah. So I think back at the end of last year when the rollout for the clot shot was supposed to be coming out, they had agreed with the administration to help them make buildings. The crew members, the builders, to make buildings and set up places all over the city to vaccinate the public. Talk about, a lot of conflicts there, and why is our union doing that? You don't even, and their union doesn't even, is against the mandate, as you talked about with that guy Patrick Hawley or whatever his name, that reporter. So California is they're followers. I think that out of all the states in the country, this state, I have been blown away by how conformist and how much lack of individuality and fear of not being like everyone else, fear of being on the other side, fear of being a Trump supporter, fear of being a Republican. I mean, that really runs people's lives here. And Trump took office. I've been one of the few people that has spoken publicly in my business, literally one of the few, and I have no name to get any traction. But all of I've got hundreds of thousands. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands, but I've got hundreds of background friends and actors in this business that are just, I'm fine with it. Why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? Of course, they have done no research. Their research is NBC and MSNBC. So we waste our time in California instead of dealing with the issues. The Newsom administration wastes its time in California, not fixing our forests and dealing with our forests and our forest fires, our electrical grid, which we get rolling blackouts, all the time. Last summer, in the middle of COVID, Scott Wiener, a gay council member in San Francisco, passed SB 145. This thing that this was so important, and he signed this bill, Gavin Newsom. And Scott Wiener is a real shady character up in San Francisco. That SB called for it would lower the penalties for adults who have sex with willing same-sex minors. Judge could decide if adult has to register as sex offender if the offender is within 10 years of age of victim. Currently, while consensual sex between 15 to 17-year-olds and a partner within 10 years of age is 10 years of age is illegal, vaginal intercourse between the two does not require an offender to register as a sex offender. So Scott Wiener is saying that this was unequally skewed towards gay guys because they can't have vaginal intercourse. So now it's giving the judge discretion to not register that gay man who was 24 and had sex with that 14-year-old. It's giving the judge discretion to not put him on a sex offender list or be more lenient because it's not vaginal sex. We have so little faith in our voting process, which is so sad because it used to be, thought of as the best in the world and the most democratic. But after 2020, I think people know that it's always going to be rigged from here on out, especially with the more technology that we've gotten. We all kind of knew that going into this recall. We knew it earlier on when they said they could print ballots at home. They were going to do the same mail-in shenanigans they did in 2020 because of COVID. So we were praying and had a little bit of hope that maybe a miracle would squeeze out, but we weren't, we weren't positive that it was going to go our way. I'll be in Florida in January, and if anybody has a non-vax, non-masking job, they'd like to have me apply for, I would really love it. But I am moving now. Now begins my 3 month. I think I can tread water here for about 3 months, and I'm thinking that January is probably the best time to move. And like I said, I want to kind of watch California implode over the fall and winter with all this. I think this other wave that's coming of the vaccinated and the illnesses that are going to be happening, unfortunately. And I think, you know, I'll sit here through the lockdown. You know, Gavin can pay my rent some more, give me some more, you know, stimulus. You know, so that's it.
All right. Well, I guess
Okay.
then if people want to find you, they can go to felixmontano.locals.com
Yeah,
and
I know that
hire
wasn't the
you.
most exciting. That's not the most exciting podcast we've done, I'm sure.
No,
And I
this
probably
is
went.
hey, everybody let us know in the comment section what you think.
I mean, it
But
gives you. You know what? It gives you an idea. I'm that person in California this morning, like you said, recall hangover, and just looking at the reality of it all,
mhm.
and reassessing and reassessing. You know, you always have a little bit of hope, but you have, and now begins the reassessing and how much more water do we want to tread? And I think you're going to see a lot more people moving again. I also think probably starting like this week, LA County will itself now implement mandatory vaccine for any businesses or indoor events or anything like
Mhm.
that, because they're not pissing people off on Gavin's behalf. You know, so that's why the last 2 months we've been kind of quiet, except for our mask mandated, you know, indoors with the Delta variant. But I think
Yeah.
moving forward, we're going to start seeing more counties that are Democratic and blue, really blue, like LA County, start to implement more and more mandates.
Don't forget to check out my sponsors. I have a wine sponsor, AllisonWinePromo.com, AllisonWinePromo.com. They just switched out the bottles. So if you got the last 3, check out the new 3. There are some really good ones. One from the oldest vineyard in Argentina. You get 50% off the wine itself and 50% off shipping. Or you can also check out TwinEngineCoffee.com, TwinEngineCoffee.com/Allison. And these are Nicaraguan coffees, high altitude, shade grown, USDA organic. I prefer dark roast, but they've got a bunch of different kinds. They also have a tea that you can make out of the coffee fruits. It's called Cartura. I think I'm saying it correctly. You brew for about 24 hours. If you like cold brew or hot brew, you can do both. I really like it. A little different, but kind of like tea. And it's just another way to get a little bit of caffeine, not as much as coffee, and the antioxidants that come with it. So AllisonWinePromo.com, TwinEngineCoffee.com/Allison, and I'll see you next time.